Hello and welcome to the Rabyd Atheist. I'm Ed Rabyd, a former pastor turned atheist, now a compassionate anti-theist. Like and share this video. Join the Rabyd Nation, a nation of people dedicated to normalizing atheism and deconversion by hitting that subscribe button. And if you want to support the channel in a more tangible way, hit the join button and your membership options that lead to citizenship in the Rabyd Nation will be presented to you. Today is a Rabyd Reflections. I'm doing this on Saturdays or Fridays or whenever they tend to fall, where I just kind of reflect on the week that was and maybe bring up a few items today. And today I want to talk about and ask the question, I guess, what is your favorite logical fallacy employed by theists? And I am going to a little bit later talk about the Trump verdict really briefly, and then I also want to talk about the new membership levels for everybody. So, just stay tuned if you're interested in that sort of thing. Mostly today I just want to talk about logical fallacies a little bit. It's kind of logical fallacies are a fun topic, I guess. They're very interesting. They, for a lot of us, I think studying logic and dealing with logic was one of the ways that we began to deconvert. We began to look at very different things and logic, and we began to realize, we really don't have any good reasoning for believing in any of these things. There's a great deal of difference between belief and non-belief, although some people try to always make them the same, and I think that's a logical fallacy. That's called false equivalence, where you try to equate two things as being the same. You see that a lot with theists, where they try to make atheism into a religion. I'm going to be dealing with that with a video next week. And then you have this continued argument of, atheism is just another belief system like all the rest of them. It's really the same as any theism. And it's like, no, there's a great deal of difference between saying Odin exists and there's no evidence for Odin's existence. Those are two very different propositions. And I think theists like to make us into a religion for various reasons. I don't know if that's my favorite. There's other ones, where there's reasoning in a circle. Probably one of my favorites is, the Bible's inspired. And I'm like, well, how do you know that? Because the Bible says it's inspired. It's like, okay, let's go around in a circle. What evidence do you have outside the Bible that proves that the Bible's inspired by God? And it's like, no, you take that by faith. I don't know if it's a logical fallacy, but assertions without evidence tend to be a fairly common practice. I don't know if that's a logical fallacy so much as the practice of theists. And it tends to be one of those moments where you just asserted something as true. Can you please provide me evidence for that? There's also the ever popular ad hominem, where atheists don't have any basis for morality. Atheists don't have any morals. A world under atheism is going to be bleak. Me personally, I get you were never really a Christian. You get, it takes a real pathetic person to become an atheist. It's like, okay, boy. You do realize that name calling and the ever popular name calling has gotten more than a few people on this channel banned from commenting. So, including some very popular theist commentators, because they don't know how to not be rude and have to use names. So there's that part of it. But I think if I'm going to pick a favorite, and it's because maybe there's a slight ideological pyromaniac in me, is the idea of the straw man, the taking an argument that supposedly atheists use and then completely muffing up, completely not representing that argument in the best possible light. There's a difference between when you steel man an argument, you make it as strong as possible. Even if you don't believe in it, you try to understand it the way the other person would understand it and make it as absolutely strong as possible. That's a steel man. A straw man deliberately misrepresents the argument. You create this shadow boxer, straw boxer made out of straw, then you go beat it up, but you haven't really taken on the real issue. You've misrepresented what that is, okay? And so when I look at, my favorite arguments. I think most of the time I deal with straw man arguments because this is about normalizing atheism. It's about normalizing deconversion to atheism in particular, but deconversion in general from whatever faith you have. And the whole goal here is to point out that, and a lot of times I have to point out that the false notions about atheism aren't just, they're not just, bad because you're misrepresenting me, but it's often misrepresenting me in such a way that it makes me look stupid or makes me look like a bad person. Straw manning has a tendency to ad hominem, move into that realm as well, where you're casting doubt and dispersions upon atheists and that sort of thing. And so I guess my ideological pyromaniac in me that likes to bring matches just loves the straw man argument because I love to point out how it's a straw man and take the match to it and make it go up like a torch. And I think that's my favorite because it's often for me, because I spent so much time in belief, it's the easiest one for me to see. Okay, when I look at, no, you're projecting and creating a straw man. Projection is a favorite tactic of theists where they project what they are onto somebody else. Like going back to the one, well, atheism is religion. No, you're projecting there. There's belief and non-belief are very, very different categories. Okay, and so there's this. They can't seem to get their head wrapped around that there's a reason why belief and non-belief are two separate things. They're not the same. Well, that's a form of straw manning. And so straw manning kind of encompasses a lot of logical fallacies, but it's like, I get it all the time. I made a video dealing with a complete straw man of the problem of evil in a very recent past, where it's like, that's not the problem of evil. Okay, that's like the weakest form of the problem of evil I've ever seen. And, the real problem of evil is much deeper. And so I think that's my favorite because, I get to take my ideological match to things and watch it go up like in flames. And, maybe there's my pyromaniac tendencies in an ideological sense, not in a real sense, come out. So I think that's my favorite. But I'd be interested, comment away, in the comments what your favorite fallacy is employed by theists. I think that would be an interesting discussion. And some of the times that you've seen it employed that made you kind of giggle instead of get mad. So there's that. I do want to talk very briefly, hopefully, about the Trump verdict and what it's going to mean. And I'm going to tell you, as somebody who tries to stay very neutral in American politics, to be a good analyst, I don't think it's going to mean crap in the long run. The real problem is every poll I look at right now, and this is way too early to call this election, by the way. There's 5 months down the road here of political skullduggery to come, and things will happen, okay? Things will happen that will change people's opinions. Now, the dyed-in-the-wool Republican Trump supporter is not going to change their mind. And the dyed-in-the-wool Biden supporter is not going to change their mind, okay? They're going to stay there. Now, why is this important to me? Well, as an atheist, I get very, very nervous about Trump because Trump tends to back these Christian nationalists. They definitely back him. And they have an agenda of trying to turn this into a Christian nation, which it is not, the Constitution isn't designed that way. When you have statements like there's no religious, you don't have to pass a religious litmus test to be an official in the United States. That's openly stated, which means an atheist should be able to run for office and have an equal chance with everybody else, but it doesn't happen. Very, very few secular atheist type candidates that don't have a religion and are vocal about it. Usually everybody has some sort of God, spiritual belief or whatever in order to qualify for office around here. And Trump gets backed by these guys. And for all the shenanigans of Trump, okay, as a president from a policy standpoint, I think the rank and file American likes him better than Biden. And I know that's a weird thing to say. Why do these people like Trump more than Biden? And it's like, well, because when they go to the gas pump, it was $2 something a gallon. When they go to buy food, inflation didn't make it 25% more than it was, just a mere 4 years ago. And COVID had a lot to do with that, don't get me wrong, but when the government injects a whole bunch of money into the economy, inflation is coming, okay? And during COVID, we injected a lot of money into the economy. The government did. And so that created a surplus supply of money, and that's going to devalue the dollar. I knew it was inevitable. I was like, thank you for the checks, thank you for the increased wages at work and stuff like that. But I was like, I know something's coming. And it did. And so when I work a very blue collar job, and when I talk to my fellow compadres about why they support Trump, or I just listen into conversations, it's like, to the average blue collar worker, just going to work every day, they look at it and go, yeah, Biden's economy isn't helping me. Now, I know, before everybody jumps in the comments, I know that the economic indicators aren't actually that bad. But they seem to be the best for people who need it the least, okay? And that's how it seems to people. And in politics, perception means more than reality, okay? And so the perception is Trump's economy was better because prices were lower, okay? But wages were also lower a little bit too. They've increased a little bit. But it's like, it's this, adjustment that inflation makes us all make. And so this is affecting the election, okay, because it really is going to be the economy. It's the economy, stupid, at this point, okay, the old famous line. And to a lot of rank and file people, regular average Joe citizens in the United States, they just look at the fact that they're paying a hell of a lot more at the grocery counter and getting a lot less for their money. They haven't seen a real wage increase since COVID. From their employers, a lot of them. All economic indicators are good, but it's good for who? Upper middle class and higher, central middle class and higher, but the lower middle class and, the poor, working poor are like, shit, this sucks, okay? And that's kind of, I think, the mood that at least I pick up. Now, this is my opinion. You don't have to share it. I can be very wrong, okay? Whenever you talk about politics in the United States, you can be very, very wrong. So when I see the Trump verdict, and he's indicted and then convicted on all counts in the Stormy Daniels hush money trial, paying off your porn star, so she doesn't talk, and then she talks. Okay, because she can't help herself. What is it going to do? Well, we've got to wait for sentencing, and that won't take place till July. I've never understood why, in the justice system we just don't do sentencing. But I think the idea is to let the judge back off and take a look at the charges. What do they really affect, and what punishment fits the crime? That's why you wait. It also allows a person who's been convicted to kind of put their affairs in order. Okay, so in case they are, they're going to be sentenced, and if there's jail time as a possibility, put your affairs in order, that sort of thing. And the real possibility is there'll be no jail time on this at all. And so it's going to be one of those things where I'm going to wait. It's going to happen, and then 2 months, like in September, it's going to be like a bullet point on the case against Trump by the left. But there's going to be a whole bunch more stuff coming. Trust me on that. Okay, so this fight is far from over. What's really puzzling to me, looking at the poll numbers across the country, is Trump's still ahead. Okay, in a lot of polls. Not all of them, but he's ahead in a lot of them. And I think it's the economy. I really do. Because Biden is trying to put a pretty face on it, but it's a pretty face for people that are rich, and it's a pretty face for people that are doing well, or well off in the middle class. But it's not a pretty face for the rest of Americans. And the guy who's, working that factory job, coming home to his family and realizing his money doesn't go as far as it used to because of inflation, and he hasn't had a real raise in 2 years that's significant, 25 cents here and 50 cents here is just not in line with what inflation would cause you to do. I mean, we've gotten to a point where, a significant raise is $1, okay, or more. And it just doesn't seem to happen to a lot of those guys, and they get frustrated. Well, they remember what it was like under Trump, and there's a romantic notion that's happening with a lot of them, and they're like, no, I'm not going to vote for Biden. I'm going to vote for this guy. And Biden is very vulnerable here. He also is, age is creeping up on him, and even people on the left are seeing that is a problem. It's an obvious thing. There's a very big concern about Biden's age. And so we have this. And then you have Kennedy out there running third party and taking away votes from both candidates, making it even more difficult. And I've told people before, all you have to do with a third party candidate is win enough electoral votes to make it so the other two sides can't win, okay, without your help. And then you just kind of look at one of those two sides and say, well, you can cast your votes for me so that I'm a unanimous candidate and get into the office as a compromise, or you can keep fighting here and getting nowhere, because we're not going to change our votes and neither one of you can win without us. And that's all you have to really do as a third party. And he seems to be kind of throwing a little bit of a wrench into things, and then the other third parties are still there throwing a wrench in things. What can I say? What is the effect? I don't think it's going to be much, and by the time we actually get to the election, it's going to be a footnote. The real question is if Trump goes to jail. Okay, if he goes to jail, that's going to be an interesting saga. That's uncharted presidential territory, so I don't know. I mean, there's no law against being president from jail. Yes, so or holding public office from jail. A lot of people have held public office while being in jail, so we'll see what happens. But that's not part of the Constitution. That if you're a felon, you don't get to run for office. So it'll be interesting. Right now it's too early to call, and it's kind of why in a few months I'm going to shift there, because I think in a couple months it's actually going to be significant. What happens, and it's going to start affecting the public outcry. But we'll see. Let's see. I want to talk about membership levels because I changed them. There's now 5 membership levels, and I created whole cloth the citizen level. It's $1.99. You get your loyalty badges, your emojis, although I'm going to probably have to edit and change those again because we got 15 members now, so I get to add 4 more, I think. So there'll be about 8 specialized emojis, and I do want to find ones with a clear background so they stand out a little bit better. I'm kind of new to this, so hang in there. And then, of course, there's the Rabyd Citizen. That's like $3.99, and you get all those perks, plus every once in a while I'll run a member-only poll, and if I don't do a premiere, you get early access to the video when it first drops. So that's a couple of the extra perks. And then, of course, there's the Tribune. I've kind of done this along more the Roman Empire for the Rabyd Nation. And Tribunes were one of my favorite cards when I was playing Republic of Rome by Avalon Hill, because you could veto stuff. And I thought about that. I said, that kind of fits. I get all the perks from the previous levels. This is the level where you get discounts on Merc, if I ever have Merc. I look up my members first in the comments, and you get priority. If you're a Tribune or higher, I will answer your questions and stuff first. And you also get issued standard moderator powers. I made that decision, one, because I have a shortage of moderators, but also I think at that point and higher, you're really investing into the channel, which I appreciate very much. And so I want you to have the ability to protect the atmosphere of the channel, because I think that's probably something that you like. So I want to give you the power to do that. And so thus you automatically get a little blue wrench that allows you to put people in timeout, to block their comments. Do not abuse that, or it can be taken away. You can also request that it be removed if you really don't feel comfortable with that. Just let me know and I'll take that away. Although, some people are forced by circumstances to be moderators. I'm talking to you, Asho. So there's that. Then two other levels, nobody really belongs to these, but the senator and the council. They both get the same perk. It's just a question of time. For a senator, you get to sponsor a video once every 90 days. I put your name as the sponsor of the video. You will give me a video suggestion that you want me to do, and I will do it. You get to do that every 3 months or so. And the council's only difference is if you pay the council level, you get all the perks from the previous levels, but also you get a video sponsorship once a month, and I will put your name on that. And I will also, do the video. Probably it will be a special video outside the normal rotation. And so it's something that I take very seriously. But at those levels, I think that you deserve those kind of membership perks. So, that's kind of, I wanted to get a clear understanding of some of the membership perks and things like that. So, if that's your thing, the $2 membership has kind of taken off. I got 4 of them very quickly here now, and I think if that rate continues, that'll be a good level of membership. So thank you very much for all your support. And you guys will get your shout out in a little bit once I finish this video. Other things. This week has been kind of an average week for things. Some of my videos, my first video this week did pretty normal, and then some of the other ones did pretty normal. My second reaction this week was, in my opinion, one of my better reactions as far as really thought out and planned out. Didn't do as well, although it continues to gain speed, so maybe I'll see. It's become average now recently, but before it was kind of a slow burn. But it's kind of that, where it's kind of one of those weeks where you kind of just like, okay, is there something more I could be doing? And that's kind of what I'm doing this weekend is I'm just looking at the channel, making changes. And so, this evening as I work, and this is Saturday and into Sunday, I'm going to be working on the channel a little bit, upgrading the membership perks like the emojis. But there's some things I've been meaning to put in the description of every one of my videos, like links to Recovery from Religion and links to the Clergy Project, getting some other things in that list. When you pull up a video description, there's some automatic things in there that I want in there for people. And it also helps to, do some of these automatic things like, the tags that I put on my videos. If there's like the automatic tags that are there every video, then I just have to customize things to that video, and it just saves me a lot of time. There's a lot of things like that, time saving, that sort of thing. Other ways to support the channel, getting my Amazon wish list actually finished and things like that. And most of that's just rebuilding my atheist library. I had to leave a lot of my books behind in Texas, but I figured they were going to Goodwill, so it'd be a good, atheist evangelistic move to throw my atheist books into the mix. But at the same time, I kind of miss having them to reference. I'm one of those, people that likes to have a real book when I'm reading. Never been really good for reading offline. So, I do it when I have to, but I'd rather have a real book in my hand. The famous, quote from Stan Lee, comic books are like boobs. They're fun to look at on a computer, but I'd rather have one in my hand kind of thing. I'm kind of that way with books in general, too. So it's kind of one of those things that I'm just trying to rebuild, and so a wish list there. There's also some other things that'll be on the wish list as I consult people about the computer and things like that. I'm kind of putting that into my brain. I've had some few suggestions, to build my own computer. Oh, you do not want me to do that. There's a reason why I have mechanics and electronical stuff done by others. I'm a big man. And along with that goes a little bit of klutziness. Like if I try to do fine motor skill work and stuff like that, I usually end up breaking stuff. And so it's, my job at work, the nice thing about it is there's nothing I work with that I can really break. Or if I do break it, it's easily replaced. So it's kind of, it's why I don't work on my own car, okay? Because it's like, that's just not going to happen. So, I don't know. I would love to have somebody build something for me. There's a lot of future things in the channel that I could do. There's a lot of things I would love to do. moving this to more of a live format again, where I'm just, getting on live and answering questions and things like that. There's also, I toyed with the idea once of getting on Twitch and playing games and being a commentator, just talking about stuff like atheism, stoicism and stuff, and just while playing a game. And I like to play PC games, so it's kind of the way I relax and calm down, so in a lot of respects. So I just don't get to play it as often, and if I could play it with some sort of purpose, that would be interesting too. So there's a lot of things on my mind. My writing is going well. I wish I could say it was going better, but I've got the ideas of what I want to do. I'm seriously considering a blog for this channel as well, so I can write like once a week on certain topics. For those of you who like to read something, it's just expanding the horizons of what I'd like us to do as a channel, as a nation of people dedicated to normalizing atheism and deconversion. Because I still look out over the atheist-theist sphere and see a hell of a lot of theists that are very popular. And I can't understand why. Okay, I can't understand why, and I continue to see the videos put out by a lot of these channels of, atheists don't have morals, atheists are this, atheists are that. It's just propagandist bullshit. And trying to counter all that is going to take a more broader and a wider way of looking at it, and I think that's the big thing. So there's that. I don't know. I just expansion, taking it easy, doing the things. I think that the rotation change has helped me personally because it gives me an extra day to work on that reaction video on Thursday. So that's been very helpful. So thanks for your patience on that. Things will be changing, and so I appreciate all of that. I think that's it. Other than to say thank you. All of you guys have been great this week. The support, as usual, has been good. The increase in memberships is well appreciated. I appreciate all of you. So thanks for every like and share. And I'll give my shout out to our members, to our citizens, to our Rabyd citizens, to our tribunes so far. Thank you very much. You guys are very much an encouragement to me in continuing to do this work. Got a lot of road ahead of us, but thank you very much. Did break 4.3K this week, so subscriber count slowing down a bit, but I think we can, hopefully next week we could do some videos that'll be much better, including I have a suggestion from one of my moderators, my first moderator. Gave me a video suggestion. I've been looking at that video, and it's very interesting in the sense that it's easy to kind of go after in a sense, but it looks really good. So everybody's like, it's funny because this guy only has like over 100 subscribers, but this particular video has a lot of views and a lot of comments. And so it caught my attention. Okay, I can see why people are talking about this one. So I may do that reaction. I've been meaning to talk about the doctrine of hell for a while, so that'll probably be Thursday. Don't know specifically what video I'll be doing, but I'll be tackling that topic because it needs to be done from time to time. And then, of course, the Bible study will be When God Kills. I haven't really picked out who we're going to talk about, but that's what we're going to be talking about on the Deconverters Bible study on Tuesdays. We'll continue to go through Jim Palmer, hit his next reason that the Christian establishment doesn't want you, these things that they don't want you to know, because if you know them, you can get out of the faith. So we'll be hitting that. So that's what's on tap. Thanks once again for stopping by. And as always, live your best life. You only get one go around, and then it's over. So make sure you're taking all your time, money, and opportunities and spending them on yourself, the people you love and care for, and to make this a better world. And don't waste them on the trappings of religion and faith, because that's a dead end. I speak from experience. And as always, thanks for stopping by, and I'll catch you next time.